Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode here on our podcast. I'm here joined with Natalie Brown. Natalie's an amazing agent at Keller Williams in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Natalie, how are you?
I'm great, David. How are you?
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today. So, real quick, give us a little bit of background about Natalie. Who are you? Tell us about your real estate experience and what you're good at.
So, I have been an agent for quite a while, since 2003, and love just what real estate does for people, the wealth building part of that, and love working with all buyers and sellers, whether they're first time buyers or move up buyers or investors. I'm an investor myself. I like to do flips. It's fun to take something that's, kind of been forgotten about or not loved anymore and turn it into a nice new home for someone to love. So that's fun always. And have three children, live here in the Mount Juliet area, and, just excited how our community's growing.
Man, it is growing. I saw a picture the other day somebody posted of the land before Providence was ever even developed. I remember growing up around here. You had Cracker Barrel and Waffle House, but I didn't realize you'd been licensed since 2003. I didn't get licensed till 2004, right? And so yeah, we've been doing this for a minute, right?
Yep. I'm similar to you, started with new construction, did that with the builder for 5 years. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, great way to get into it, guys. If you're thinking about getting into real estate, builders are a fantastic path in. It's a reliable method of learning the ropes and trying to figure out. It's totally different than this side. I was meeting with somebody yesterday, Natalie, that we were talking about how little I knew about general resale real estate back in 2013 when I made the switch. And so I always caution people, like, working for a builder and working in resale residential real estate, same industry, two totally different avenues, right? And but I
completely.
do think the working for a builder, you have to get up and go in and you learn the discipline of working as an entrepreneur and knowing that, like, you only get paid if you work hard, and knowing that some days you go in and no one shows up, right? So I think that translates to real estate, because there are days we come in the office and we make our phone calls and we talk to our people and no deals show up, right? And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, right?
That's right. And then
So
other
what
days, you have a good conversation with someone that leads to something. So
That's right. That's right. Other days I don't do anything and business just shows up. So one of the, we'll take it all, right? Speaking of, I mean, all right, so I've been doing this, you and I both, for, 2 decades. You seen a market like this before?
no, I mean, it's a different market. Things aren't selling as quickly as they were right there after COVID for those few years where we had, crazy interest rates and things like that. But it's not the 2008 market either. People have so much equity in their homes right now. A lot of people actually even own their homes outright. Like, I think they say 30% of the buyers out there are either cash buyers or own their homes. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
um,
big market of it, and it's interesting because we see every market reset or shift is different. And so if people are trying to use the past to predict this one, you're like, they're all, in hindsight, you can kind of follow a trend line, but ultimately they all have their own nuances to it. And so what I think we have to help the consumer remember is that a good market is when sellers can sell and buyers can buy, right? And right now, buyers are challenged to buy because of affordability. I think first-time home buyers, average age right now is 40, right? Way higher than it's been historically. And so, yeah, you're seeing a lot of people with equity. 30% of homes are being purchased fast. And so, as you're navigating your clients through this market, what are some things they're looking for when they're kind of looking at it and going, like, man, housing really seems affordable? Do you expect prices to really come down at all?
I do not expect prices to come down. If rates come down a tiny bit, I think that will create a little bit lower mortgage payment for people, but I do think that there's pent up demand and we will see a lot of people jumping into the market. We're actually really seeing that now. I feel like people are tired of waiting, so
Yeah.
they're deciding to buy. The biggest thing I feel like with working with newer buyers is, they're always focused on that monthly payment, and is that comfortable, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we always say they buy the payment, not the price. It's going to feel like when rates come down that affordability gets, and it will. I mean, truly, the payments will get lower. Um, when we research the trend line, if anybody's watched our podcast very often, we talk a lot about this. I mean, I think currently we're 6 or 7% above the trend line. And so does it feel really expensive? Yes. But when I bought my first house, it was 3 times as much as my mom paid when she bought her first house, right? And so now I look up and go, yeah, now a home's 3 times as much. And it just because the interest rate being higher causes us to have more monthly payment, which is hard. But if you look at wage growth and inflation, it's not that far out of line. And so I think got to be real careful what we're listening to in the media and the story, because smart buyers aren't following the herd, right? They're making decisions around what makes sense financially. You're right. There's so much pent up demand. If you go back and look at birth rates, if the average first time home buyer is 40 years old, well, the smart thing to do would be go back 40 years ago and look at birth rates in the United States and see where they're going up or they're going down. And you can kind of see that trend line of birth rates increasing, meaning there's more and more people that are going to need housing, which creates that demand for what we have. We have, I don't know that we'd say we have limited supply anymore, right? You and I so we're starting to see more and more supply coming onto the market. So if you're out looking for a home right now, Natalie, where are your buyers looking? Are they doing traditional 30-year mortgages? Like what are you seeing in the market from buyers today?
Traditional 30-year mortgages still for the most part. I feel like most of them are either doing conventional or FHA loans, with, 5%, 10% down scenario. I was just looking at the statistics for Mount Juliet, and we're at a 6.2 month supply right now.
Yeah,
so
that's really important.
That's
Guys, if you
jumped
don't
up a
know,
little.
yeah, if you don't know Mount Juliet, Tennessee is a pretty high demand area. It's one of the most, Wilson County is one of the most popular counties in the country over the last few years. And so we are starting to see, I think we looked this morning, our team personally has about 90 homes currently on the market, about 40 more coming soon. And so we're starting to see that those homes are sitting longer, right? The average days on market sitting longer. And so I find that interesting because if I'm a buyer out there right now, it feels like, and every house is different, but it feels like sellers are a little bit more motivated right now. Do you think?
I think they are, absolutely. Yeah. And even with that being said, year over year, the values have gone up in the Mount Juliet area 13%.
Wow.
So,
Wow, that's amazing. Well, and so let's talk this through because you and I kind of know how this goes, but for people that might be watching, if I'm thinking about buying a home right now in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and I'm thinking about a seller that may be a little bit more motivated, um, why would it be in my favor to take closing cost or interest rate buy downs over negotiating it off the price?
well, it's always smart on the buyer side to do that because, if you buy that rate down a little bit, or have them pay your closing cost, you're essentially purchasing at a higher price, but your payment can be less. So,
Yeah. Yeah, we say, I mean, at a
look at
6% interest rate for
it.
$10,000 finance, you're probably looking at somewhere around, P&I of $650, $700 a month on your payment for every $100,000 finance. So, sorry for saying 10,000, it's another 60 or 70 bucks. So we're talking about a $20,000 price reduction. It may move it a little bit, but you'd almost be better off to buy that rate down so that you have a lower rate for the next 30 years if you're going to stay there. Let's keep in mind most people are staying in their home on average 10 years. So I always like people to kind of put in perspective, like having a good agent like Natalie to be able to navigate what's best for you in terms of, again, we mostly buy the payment, we don't buy the price. Having some creative ways to get that payment more attractive is really important when you're in this market, right? A lot of markets, they're going really fast. You can grab an agent and they can unlock the door and they don't have to be real skilled when it comes to negotiating and having the perception or being able to educate you as a buyer on how to navigate that. What are your sellers saying right now? Are most sellers selling and relocating? Are they happy with the equity that's in their home? Are they talking about price reductions at all?
I feel like some of the sellers that I've been talking to recently, some of them have moved here from other areas and now they're, missing family and things like that. So they're reconsidering moving, back to wherever they moved from. Most of them love Tennessee and love the area, but sometimes, if your family is somewhere else, you can get lonely, I feel like. So,
Yeah. And we saw a lot of people move here because you could work from home more commonly after COVID, and that's starting to change. Right? We're starting to see more companies require people back in office, and so depending upon where they're at. Still seeing overall, though, I think in Wilson County and the Nashville market, more people in than out, right? Which is also compounding the affordability issue, right? Because there is plenty of demand in our markets. And hopefully, as that supply continues, you said earlier, right? Most people are just kind of tired of waiting. And I think that's what you almost always see in a shifting market is that at some point life goes on. And whether it's a 3% interest rate or a 6% interest rate, if you're in a 2-bedroom townhome and you had 3 babies since you bought it, and now you got 3 babies and 2 dogs, the interest rate becomes less and less important when everybody's crying and no one can sleep at night, right? And it's just life.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So tell me a few things about Mount Juliet. What's your where's some good restaurants? If people aren't from here, they're relocating here. What would you want people to know about this town?
Well, I'm on the north side of Mount Juliet, so it's not as busy as the Providence side, but
Old side.
there's a lot of great restaurants. The lake is always a great, fun place for recreation in the summer, and there's a great new little restaurant and independent little restaurant, and a few restaurants have came and gone in this spot. It's by Publix. It's called Santorini's, and it's really, really good. So I would recommend there. Of course, Cinco de Mayo is always a huge spot. Everybody loves that Mexican food. And Barrel House is really good too.
I just ate there for the first time. It's funny, I've lived around here for decades and rolled into there. I've been going there for lunches lately. Yeah, that's a fun little spot. What's the new Chicago place just opened up over there behind Dairy Queen?
Yes, Champone's.
Yeah,
I've eaten there and it's really good.
you like
I
it?
need to go back. They didn't have the Chicago style pizza yet, but they should have that now. So
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. Then of course Sprouts just opened up here in Mount Juliet. And, there's a little
love some Sprouts.
yeah, I've
I
never been
love
in
it.
there. I have no clue what it is. I don't even
Oh,
know
you
what
gotta
they
go in
sell.
there. It's so good.
I'm gonna
It's
go check it out.
expensive, but it's good.
Yeah, there's a
All
little spot
organic.
called Back Nine next door to it. It's an indoor golf simulator that I know a lot of people have been going to. So what attracts people to Mount Juliet, right? I'm thinking about moving to Nashville, and I'm thinking about where I want to live. What do you think drives more people to Wilson County?
Oh, so many reasons. Okay, so I do think that the lake is a draw. I think the proximity to downtown is a huge draw.
What are
The
we,
airport,
20-25 minutes on a Friday night?
the airport, uh, 15 minutes to the airport. I think that's huge. Our school systems.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's what drew me and my wife out here, right? Way back in the day, we couldn't afford Mount Juliet. We had to go all the way out to Lebanon. But even Lebanon's picking up and becoming a metropolis there.
yeah. So, I mean, just quality of life. So I think
Yeah.
there's so much to offer. That's why we
Yeah,
do
so
have
if
moving.
you're not familiar with the area, guys, Mount Juliet's stuck right between 2 lakes. You got Old Hickory Lake on the north side, Percy Priest Lake on the south side. Like you said, close proximity to the airport. You can be to the airport from here about 10, 15 minutes, right? And I'll say Wilson County's done a great job with the development, right? As painful as it is to build houses and, as much stress that it's put, they've done an adequate job of, the school systems and the roadways and all the impact that this type of growth has on a community. I'm really proud of how Wilson County has handled it in general. There's always these horror stories here and there, but ultimately, it's a lot of growth for our local city folks to manage. And so really grateful that they did that. All right, what do you think about a 50-year mortgage? Does that help affordability? Is that a good idea, bad idea? If you could talk to
Well, some
Trump.
people purchase. I mean, yeah, it would definitely make affordability, but I think my concern with that is that then home prices are going to skyrocket even more, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the math when you look at it, it's got to make sense for a bank, right? And so, the risk analysis on a 50-year mortgage, yeah, it draws it out, but that's that much more interest. And I mean, some of the analytics I've run on it or have seen on it don't lower the payment that much, right, for the additional cost. And so I think that's a challenge. What do you think about the lease to own? Have you heard this lease to own thing that they're talking about now? The Trump housing, where you can buy a house and lease it for the first 3 years, and a certain portion of it goes to your down payment. Heard anything about that?
Actually saw a house listed in the MLS yesterday. I was looking for some rental property for someone that's moving here, and there's a new neighborhood called Canebrake, I believe, and one of the property management companies was advertising that. I think it said after 5 years of renting, they would give you a $5,000 down payment.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
We used to have apartment communities around town. I was back when I worked for a builder, and I think the apartment community would take 10% of your rent each month and apply it towards, put it in like this little savings account for you. Essentially, you had to opt into it. And I think all they really did was raise rents by like 10%, right? So the additional money
Right.
that you put aside each month kind of went into this account. But the downside of that, you had to use it with certain people, and you had to use it at certain places. You couldn't just go out and shop. I thought a creative way, right, to get to a solution around, how to help someone come up with their down payment. If I'm a buyer in the market, and maybe I've never bought a home, Natalie, what are some ways that maybe outside of the box thinking that people are coming up with their down payment? If they just don't have it in a savings account, what are some creative ways maybe to come up with a down payment?
Oh, several different ways. So one way is to a family member can actually gift you a down payment. Another way is there's several 0% loans you can do.
Yeah.
If you just do not have that and do not want to, get a gift from a family member. So there's also, if you're struggling, there's some systems some of the lenders will provide to like help you, start saving up some money and things like that, or working on your credit, things like that as well. This is one thing, I've been doing this a long time. I always tell my family and friends, the younger you can purchase a home, the better, especially if you're not planning on moving out of that area, you're staying, to start building that equity up, so.
Yeah. That really does make a huge difference, right? I think,
It makes a
we have
huge
to
difference.
remember when we buy our first homes that it's not your forever home, and so it doesn't have to have all the perfect pieces, but that equity build up, the equity growth, the debt pay down, all the things, the magic that just happens. That's true with any investment, right? I mean, the sooner you can start putting it aside, time is our biggest friend when it comes to that compounding. Of course, several grants out there, right? I mean, it depends on what time of year. Some grants get released quarterly, some get released yearly. What is it, Natalie? Is it 3 years that you have to be? So when we say first-time home buyers, FHA just requires 3 years since you purchased or owned a home, right? I think that's
Correct.
what it is. I think it's
I
yeah.
think that's what it is too.
So
Yeah,
sometimes you got to remember, even if you've owned a home before, these quote-unquote first-time home buyer programs does not mean that you've never owned a home. And so
you still
again, this is
qualify.
where, yeah, talking to someone that's educated on these programs like Natalie is going to open up some doors that maybe you didn't think was possible. Also, I believe you can borrow or take money out of your retirement account if you choose, without paying the penalties, as long as it's going towards the down payment on a house. And so sometimes if you've got money in a 401k, I've seen some clients go and be able to take that money out and use it for the down payment of a home, and it's not the same as if you just went and took it out, right? So you can save some money
Correct.
there, right?
Good way to do it too.
Awesome, awesome. So okay, so if I'm a seller right now and I'm thinking about putting my home on the market, and you say there's 6 months worth of supply, do I put it on the market or do I wait?
No, absolutely put it on the market because inventory is actually down a little bit year over year, not a ton, but I think the biggest, most important things are, to work with an agent that can really study the data on what's selling around you, and trying to price that property appropriately, so you're getting showings and eyeballs and doing the appropriate marketing to drive that traffic as well. So
Yeah, I'd say a great thing to ask sellers in this market right now is real true motivation. The let's put it out there and see what happens approach in this type of market is probably not the best way to do it. So if you're not motivated to sell it and you're just hoping for a pie in the sky offer, I don't know that this is the best market to do that in, right? And so I think if you're motivated, right, and when we say motivated, we're typically thinking about, life events have happened, right? What do we call like the 5 Ds is what they used to go by, like diapers, diamonds, death, divorce. What was the other one? Diamonds, diplomas, death, divorce, diapers. Diploma, yep, that was it. So, if you have a baby, if someone passes, if a kid's graduating and moving out, those things where you're motivated to actually put it on the market, good time to get out there. Always work with a great agent like Natalie where you're pricing ahead of the market. You're able to kind of see, we know things just doing this for 20 years, so we can kind of predict 2, 3, 4, 5 months out on what's going on in the local market and kind of giving some insight and guidance on that. We know statistically if you overprice the home, you are going to take less on that home. And so again, that's where Natalie's saying pricing it right really matters, and having an educated agent that's done this a lot and has ran a lot of comps on a lot of houses to be able to kind of pinpoint what that home's worth matters so much right now when you think about, I'm always amazed at, Natalie, though, is that in our industry, everyone charges a very similar compensation or fee structure. And so I think it's really interesting that someone can come and work with someone like you or someone like me with 20 years of experience in the business. And so it's just more of people being aware that top performers like you, most agents in this business are out. What's the stat? Like 87% of agents are less than 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then the remaining 13% that are in it more than 2 years, 75% of those are out in the next 3 years, so under 5 years.
Under 5 years.
And so kudos for you for making it a great career. I know everybody around town loves you, and you do such a fantastic job for your clients. What are your goals for this year?
Help 27 families.
I love it.
Buy and sell. Yeah.
That's it. So we go out and we help the families, and in turn we're able to help our own families. Guys, if you have any questions for Natalie, feel free to reach out, connect with us. Drop us a message on Facebook, Instagram, or look us up at thehuffakergroup.com. We'd love to chat more with you about your real estate needs. Natalie, thanks for your time.
Thank you, David.
Later.